and we follow the league's national guidelines. So these are not local. This is what the league does on a national basis. This is the way we run them. I, of course, am a member of the league, and I will be serving as a moderator tonight, and my name is Mary Jane Range. Just to give you a little background, the league is a nonpartisan organization. We do not take issues, or we do not select candidates, but we do take positions on issues that we have studied, but we never take a position on candidates. The league has been active for, I think, 120 years now, and that's nationally. In Palm Beach County, we've been here since 1958. We now have just a little over 600 people. And I don't know how many of you know this, but in my research, I'm delighted to be here on the 100th birthday of Jupiter. So as I said, the league's purpose is to promote political responsibility, and we want informed participation from citizens. Although as you know, elections are very, very important. So it's our purpose in moderating these forums to provide you with an opportunity to hear the candidates themselves and discuss issues that are of importance to you. Now, you were asked when you came in if you wanted a card where you could write down any question that you may have. When you are finished with that, please hold it up, and our wonderful volunteers will come and collect it. If you did not get a card and you want to write, put your hand up, and then we'll know that we have to deliver a card to you, okay? So as a league member, I've had the opportunity to contribute in ways that have an incredible impact locally and in the state and also nationally. If you're interested in the important work that our nonpartisan organization does, I encourage you to join us. And by the way, men have been invited since 1970, and 20% of our membership are now men. A special thanks tonight to all the wonderful league members that came out to volunteer, and we asked them for their patience as usual, because sometimes these things get different than we had planned, let's say. So, now to Jupiter. As you well know, and I had to learn, the town of Jupiter operates under the council management form of government. The town council has a board of 5 elected officials. It sets policy, approves budgetary and financial activities, and sets the town's strategic direction. Working with the town council, the town manager / mayor directs the town's operations, managing departments that deliver the town's services, programs, and special projects for all of you who live within the town. District 1 and 2 are open in this election, and we are going to have their forums first, and then we will do the mayor's forum by themselves after that. Okay? Everybody with me so far? Okay. Candidates for seat 1. And maybe you want to hold up your hand. Phyllis Choi, Terry Grooms, Andy Weston. Candidates for seat 2, Linda McDermott, Willie Puz, and Melise, I'm probably not saying that right. Melise Sundrum. Candidates for the mayor, although they are not seated yet, are Jim Koretsky and Cameron May, and you'll get to meet them later. Now to the rules. We are going to ask you to please be supportive, but conduct yourselves appropriately. Disruptions will not be tolerated, and persistent disruptions will be asked to leave. Please hold your applause until the end of the forum, and you will then be able to applaud with gusto. Now, I know you hear this all the time, and some of you always say, but that doesn't mean me, but I mean turn off your phone. Now, yeah, I didn't see anybody doing that, but that's okay. Questions, as I mentioned before, if you received a card when you came in, and you've already written out your questions, would you hold it up so it can be completed or picked up? And if you need a card, just hold up your hand, and then the volunteers will come and give you a card. So please take care of that now. As I said, okay, somebody back. Thank you. You are welcome to submit as many written statements as you would like. They will be reviewed for pertinence. All the questions will be answered by all the candidates for this section. So please, no personal questions. The views that are expressed are those of the candidates, not of the League of Women Voters. We serve only as the moderator and sort of keep the peace, as it were. In front of the candidates are two wonderful residents of Jupiter who have volunteered, they probably never want to do this again, have volunteered to be our moderators tonight, our timers tonight. Now here's the way it's gonna roll. Each candidate will give a 2-minute opening statement. And I am going to start with this lady on the end. Would you turn your cards a little bit in so I can see your names? Thank you. Okay? So they're going to do a 2-minute opening. And our timers will keep them in line, as it were. They're going to get a 30-second warning, and then we'll tell them when the time is up.
Could we have a minute for Phyllis to figure out how to
Turn this
speak?
on.
And when-
Is there somebody who can help with the mic?
There's a button right there. There's a button on top of it.
Hello.
Okay, we're good. Is that good, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming, first of all. Me. Thank you.
Not yet.
Okay, so there was a card draw, and the high card is going to get the first question. But we're gonna start with opening statements. Timers, 2 minutes, candidates, 2 minutes, now, go.
Thank you, and again, welcome. Thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phyllis Choi. I've lived here in Jupiter for 27 years, contributing as your neighbor, professional, and community advocate, whether helping families find homes, spearheading initiatives that support literacy, affordable housing, and environmental preservation. As a commissioner with the Palm Beach County Housing Authority since 2017, I oversee a $60 million annual budget, craft policy, and I work with and to protect the most vulnerable population in the county. I possess the skills to face challenges that can come our way, whether it's affordable housing, smart and economic growth, safety, traffic, engaging residents wherever possible, small businesses, and the environmental preservation that we've all come to know and love. There's no one size that fits all, ladies and gentlemen, but engaging residents to help understand how policy may be crafted or how it's decided is certainly a step in the right direction. We can and we will preserve our unique character, our charm, while still addressing sustainable growth. 2 minutes is definitely not enough for me to tell you who I am, but Google can. Jump on, you'll hear more about my story, but more importantly, I will be the new eyes and ears of the town council. Thank you.
Mr. Weston.
He's got his own microphone.
My name's Andy Weston. I am a 4th-generation Floridian. My great-grandmother was born in Jacksonville. My grandfather was born there, and he migrated down to Coral Gables. He was chief of police there for 1929 to 1931. So, being in the service, my dad, our permanent home throughout all that time was Coral Gables. He retired, we went to Coral Gables, and that's been my home pretty much. I went to the University of South Florida, got a BA, MBA, that was paid for by military service in the Air Force, 4 years, and then I started in my working career in Miami. You can find out all this stuff about me, where I work, etc., at my website, westonforjupitercouncil.com. You'll find some nice pictures there. So, this is a critical election here. The town has decided to form its own fire department, and they've started down that path. I'm an ardent supporter of that. The town has its own police department, and I think they're terrific, and I think they'll do the same results with the fire department. The county wanted to double, to bring our fire tax to 3.4 mils, and they're gonna do that for less. There's other issues that I'm sure you'll have questions about. I'd like to respond. Go out to my website. I'll be updating it after this with more information on what my positions are. Okay? And thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Weston. Ms. Cruz.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. And I'd like to thank Ms. Range and the volunteers for being here and moderating the forum and helping us out with this. My name is Terry Grooms, and I'm honored to be here as a candidate for the Jupiter Town Council. For nearly a century, my family has called Jupiter home. We've watched the town grow and change, but our deep love for this community has never wavered. I am the last of my family that remains in Jupiter, and I carry with me the legacy of those who came before me, people who worked hard, gave back, and cherished the character of this town. That same dedication has driven me to serve our community in many ways, including as an appointee to the Historic Resources Board and the Planning and Zoning Commission, where I also had the privilege to serve as chair for 2 years. Through these roles, I've worked to preserve Jupiter's history while also planning for a responsible and sustainable future. But now more than ever, we need fresh ideas. We need a change of direction. Jupiter is a crossroads, at a crossroads, and the decisions we make today will shape our town for generations to come. We need leadership that will listen, leadership that puts residents first, and leadership that isn't afraid to challenge the status quo. I am running for town council because I believe in protecting what makes Jupiter special, our quality of life, our small town charm, and our rich history, while also ensuring that we move forward in a way that benefits everyone. I look forward to discussing the issues that matter to you tonight and sharing my vision for Jupiter's future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. We only have one mic.
Hi, everybody. I'd like to stand up just so you can see us. Those in the back seem to be squinting and having a little problems. My name is Willie Puz. I'm a candidate for 2nd District here at the town of Jupiter. Probably I'm the one on this table that you haven't heard much of because I wasn't in the last election. But I'll tell you, this is where I come from, and I'd like to take a moment just to give you my history. Grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Came to school in Florida, St. Petersburg, went to Eckerd College. Was a marine scientist. Worked for a research lab where we did research on a whole bunch of different fish species and also necropsies on manatees because there was a big manatee die-off that changed my career. So from there, what happened is I was doing research to understand the data, to understand how data goes into formulating rules and regulations. I became an ombudsman, an educator, a public relations leader, and a legislative liaison. I've worked for the Department of Environmental Protection, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, Palm Beach County Environmental Resources Management, and now the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County. I'm a leadership Palm Beach County grad class of 2017. I'm on the town's environmental task force, have been since its inception, twice now as chair, the only time I wasn't chair for 1 year in between. So I've been on North Palm Beach Chambers committees, the Sustainability Committee, the Government Committee. I've been active in our town. I'm a coach, a leader to our youth for hockey, baseball, and soccer. So what I offer to you is an incredible depth of government knowledge. And I hope that when you hear all of us today, you look us up on our web pages, whenever they come to be, that you're able to say, yes, Willie Puz is the one that I want to vote for. Thank you.
Ms. Central.
Thank you. I guess I'll stand up too. So we're noting that those in the back are having a hard time understanding, but we're seeing us. So everyone, my name is Melise Sundstrom, and I'm noticing also that I am the only elected official currently on this panel. So while it is important to share my background, I also want to share my record, and I want to talk about what I ran on last time, what I promised, and what I delivered. I am a military brat, and for those who don't know what that means that my family was serving in the Marine Corps. My brother currently serves as a pilot. My father is a Marine Corps officer and major, and so I traveled a lot in my life. I went to multiple high schools, moving nearly every 3 years, and so I never really had a sense of home until Jupiter. Jupiter is the longest I've lived anywhere, and I truly love it. And I'm raising my daughters here, which is really exciting to give them something I never had, and so it's a really big driver behind what I do. So, let's talk about what I ran on 3 years ago. And I've got my old palm card here. I have my new one too. But my old one says, Melissa's priorities, and the first is safety. Maintain our high quality police and fire safety services. I think I am doing just that. If you don't know, we've got Jupiter Police, but Palm Beach County Fire. By bringing them in-house together under one roof, having both public safety departments together, that creates a more seamless response for emergency services and a customized response that's Jupiter focused. For small town feel, development should be compatible with the scale of the town that we have. I'm proud to say our entire council has been very strong on development, but I've been a part of that council. And we've turned down 520 condos. I don't know if you know that, but they're proposed for Indian Town Road. Talk about traffic, that's gonna really impact traffic. Strong economy, fiscal accountability, financial accountability. That is exactly what JFRD decision was all about, and I stand by it. Traffic, support out of the way and reduce congestion on Indian Town Road. I went to Tallahassee and secured $2.4 million for that very purpose. And connection, improve transparency and accessibility to the town council. Everything you want to know on fire is on the Jupiter Fire website, and I started Connect with Council. Thank you.
Good evening, Linda McDermott. I'm a 40-year resident, proud to say. I came to Jupiter.
If you hold it closer to you, I think
All right.
they'll be able to hear you better.
Okay, can you hear me now? All right. 40-year resident. My adult children grew up in Jupiter, went to the schools, worked here. Now I have a granddaughter here, so I'm very proud. I worked 8 years as a volunteer with the Jupiter Police Department on their CERT team. I was also one of their first citizens on patrol, and I was the treasurer for both of them. I work currently with the city of West Palm Beach. I've been there 34 years. 25 years of that was with the police department. I actually started in dispatch. I went from being a bank manager here in Jupiter to doing dispatch, my choice. And I loved it, but after 6.5 years, I went back to my fiscal roots because I love to do analysis. I love data-driven research, and that got me several promotions with the city of West Palm Beach. During COVID, I worked with the Bloomberg Task Force with Johns Hopkins University as one of 3 in our county selected to help cities and counties offer ways to get through the COVID transition of the losses of revenue. I teach revenue at the Finance Officers Association. I have been the selected employee for our retirement committees. I do union negotiations. I'm very, very proud of my government service, but I'm very proud of Jupiter and everything that's in it. I believe in transparency and data-driven, updated facts, and I believe Jupiter has not done that lately. Please go to my website, you will see some things that I'm talking about. Jupiter is good. I'm not saying that I'm running because everything is bad in Jupiter. It's absolutely not. It's because I believe that Jupiter needs my data-driven analysis, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that completes the opening statements from our candidates in both districts. And now we'll start moving to the questions that you have prepared. Ms. Sandra, you had the high card, correct?
No.
It's a Jack.
Oh, that's right. Jack. Okay, so we're gonna start with you, and then I'll come back around.
Before we start, let me ask if anybody else, should turn in? Yes.
answering the same question. What do you propose to do to alleviate traffic congestion, and how would it be paid for?
Well, first, you have to work with the TPA, and the Florida Department of Transportation. We have to work together. I have worked very well together with state, county, federal. In fact, in 2012, I was on strategic planning with the town, and we also worked with the TPA to alleviate some traffic that was going over the railroad tracks onto A1A because of the dangers. Unfortunately, recession, COVID, many things stopped a lot of progress. Tri-Rail at one time was coming here as well to help alleviate traffic and get people to West Palm and what have you. Things have changed, but we need to get back on track. We're gonna stop the overdevelopment for one thing. I don't think we can do anything until the bridges are up, traffic is fixed. No more zoning changes or anything. We need to work with our own planners. We have very good engineering. We need to work with the TPA and the state. It's a together. That's it in a nutshell.
Thank you. Ms. Choi, same question. Do you need me to repeat it?
Again, traffic, we all know what Indiantown Road is like from 3 to 6 in the afternoon. Being a candidate, not an incumbent, I may not have been privy to all of the surveys and reports that have been done, but it's not just Jupiter traffic. It's coming north to south, south to north, back east and west. So it's not only Jupiter resident. It needs to be mitigated in some way that we know what the traffic issues are. There are plans with the DOT, from what I understand, to work on looking at where this traffic is coming from. And again, the survey has been done or the plans have been in place. We know it's a problem as residents, and we're gonna have to look to our town council, and once I'm elected, I will be able to tell you a little bit further. It's a problem, but I think, and in all fairness, the town council has a handle on it. Whether it's done yet, I don't know, but we need to work on it.
Thank you. Mr. Weston.
I went to see the North Pack, and they have a brochure in there saying that we coordinate. They coordinate this and they coordinate that. The major traffic problems are not on town roads. And you've heard the term DOT. Well, it's the DOT, it's the state, and it's the federal. And I think the worst traffic is the ones that are on the Indiantown. And I don't agree with Phillips about going north and south. I've been pulled over twice going down Military because there's nobody in front of me. I was going too fast. So going north and south, you've got options. Problem with getting on 95, you don't have options. You've got to go Indiantown to get on 95, or you got to go Donald Ross to get on 95. And so we can all say we're going to coordinate with the state and the federal government, but I don't see how you're going to widen Indiantown or get relief off of it. So what do? You got to go for an alternate route. You could go north and south and get down to Donald Ross. It might not be so bad. Or go on down to PGA and get on to 95 there. So I don't have any solutions for this, but I'm happy to coordinate with these other agencies. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to agree with my opponent, Ms. Choi, that, as people running and not incumbents, we're not privy to all the information that the town might have to alleviate these problems. But as we know, more people means more traffic. So part of what I would think was that we need to scale back on our development and as a town, purchase some of the properties that can help mitigate traffic and keep the traffic patterns down. That's basically what I would say on it, is if you limit the amount of development, you limit the amount of people, you need better coordination with the county and the state in communicating with the public too. I think with the I-95 fiasco that happened, I think some better communication with people, telling them that they would have to leave earlier to get to where they're going might have helped people's frustrations on that, but yeah, there's a lot of information that we would need as elected officials to talk about that more effectively. Thank you.
Mr. Press. Am I saying your name correctly?
Thank you. As a 10-year resident, and one who just did a traffic survey that went out, I can say that Indiantown Road was the biggest issue that residents said was the problem. And it's not just all of Indiantown Road. Some residents really got specific with little links of where their biggest problems are. Now, this is what I know, and we've heard it a little bit already. All the roads aren't town roads. There's DOT roads, there's county roads, there's a great map on the town's website that'll delineate that for you. We have to be great partners. There's a project out right now. It's the county-wide traffic master plan. The county's paying for that. So we have to be great partners, and I believe it might be the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council that's gonna be leading some of that effort. But that project and that planning is to start in July. So you, as residents, have an incredible opportunity to look at the candidates in front of you and say, which one do I think is gonna be able to pull those traffic projects together? Who's gonna be the one that's gonna be able to make bridges between state and federal and county agencies and try to address as much as they can, whether it's smart traffic lights in certain areas, strategic road improvements, again, with our county and federal partners, enhanced pedestrian safety, because we can't leave out those that walk or bike to places and even maybe take a ride share. And then also it's better public transportation. So we need to account for all of those in those projects. And by accounting for those in the projects with our federal, state, and county partners, we should be able to really improve traffic in our area. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sundstrom, sorry.
Thank you. So again, I'm going to point out that I am the only elected official here on this row, and the benefit of incumbency and experience is I can tell you what's actually going on and what we're doing to fix it. Indiantown Road is the biggest concern, and residents will readily tell you that. We do have a number of tranches. So on Indiantown Road, there's 95 out, then there's to Central, then there's to Chasewood Plaza, and then there's to Maplewood. The town has worked, they've gone to Tallahassee, and we've secured $2.4 million to secure an extra turn lane to go into Chasewood Plaza and create capacity on Indiantown Road. This town prioritizes traffic so much that we have an annual meeting around traffic every January. You can watch it on the town's video on the town's website. We just finished it. We go through every road. We talk about the fact that the state manages roads, as Willie pointed out, the county and the town. It is a patchwork quilt. And it's also true that we're talking about the transportation master plan with the county. It's in our strategic plan as a town to make sure the town benefits from the county effort to look at traffic. So they are planning to start in January on some of it, but planning's been going on for a very long time. I'm actually part of the Smart and Connected Task Force with the Chamber of Commerce. And on that task force, we were putting together traffic plans long before this was discussed. And that's to be ready on day one when this RFP starts taking shape. So that's what we're doing there. I live in Abacoa. Donald Ross used to have 2-3 lights, now it has 7 lights. And it's not because of Abacoa, it's because of Alton. So what happens in one municipality impacts another. It's important to have the relationships at the county, at the state. Again, I've been to Tallahassee. I'm on a number of county boards and committees. You can see them on my website, Melissa for Jupiter, and I'm very active on this issue. So if you want to continue with that leadership, I hope that you'll vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are now going to move to another question, and this one we will start with Ms. Choi. Are you ready? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, she started. Okay. Ready? Yeah, we can get you now.
Okay.
Okay. How would you protect the town water supply?
Oh boy, town water supply.
These people ask tough questions.
Pardon me?
I said these people ask tough
I
questions.
know, I understand it. Town water supply is something, first of all, I am not an environmental engineer, but what we have in our Drinking water. I think our town has done a remarkable job. I'm pleased with it. The plant itself, they worked hard, they developed it, they know what they're doing. Environmentally, we need to address ecosystems, we need to address what is going in the water, who's in the water, what kind of vessels are in the water. And right now, when you hear blue algae, when you hear our fish population coming up on the sand, again, an area that not my skill level, if you will, but I do know that what the town has been doing with public water is no issue to me. We have to get into the environmental with algae, what's causing it, where it's coming from, and continue with our surveys. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Weston, please.
So we have a water company, and we provide water service, the town does. When I say we, the source of the water is coming from wells. And we seem to be having no problem with our wells. We have a contract out, the town has a contract out, I think it aggregates $6 million to drill new wells. And the maintenance on the plant, I think they have time to time, they have a problem. But I think the quality of water coming out of the wells and going in the distribution system is probably okay. And I think where a major problem is the distribution system. Where I live, we have cement asbestos pipes, and they're probably over 50 years old. And they say it's not a problem unless they break. Well, then you got a problem. And there's no purging, there's no putting chemicals in to clear that asbestos. You got a real problem because you got asbestos in your water. I think it's only about 5% of the water lines. But then you've got the other lines if they're in something other than PVC. So you'll see that the town is working on replacing the water lines in different places. I don't foresee, at least that's my understanding, there's not a problem with the amount of water that we've got. But there is a problem with the distribution system at times. So that's it.
Thank you. Can I ask the person who asked the question if you're talking about town water supply, like the water into our homes, or are we talking about environmentally our waterways?
This could have been.
A generic?
Well, yes.
Okay, so I'll address both then. So,
Sorry.
that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that we were talking on the subject that the person wanted to hear from. So, for the town water supply, I had a pretty good relationship with our previous director of water, and they're always upgrading our systems, always looking to improve how they clean our water and get our water to us. As Mr. Weston also mentioned, we are, in my neighborhood, they're replacing all the stormwater management, that sort of thing. It looks like we need some help over on your area. But for the environmental part of our waterways and what keeps us here and what makes people want to live here, I have worked actively with several agencies and nonprofits to help restore seagrass beds, introduce living shorelines. I've advocated for the reintroduction for oysters into our waterways that clean those waterways to make it, when I was young, you could walk across the oyster beds at low tide out in the river. But they dredged them in the 70s to make way for boating and stuff. So we need to reintroduce those things that when we had clean water, what was in the environment that helped us keep us that way. And so that's where I advocate with a lot of agencies and nonprofits.
Thank you. Mr. Puz?
Yes.
Do you need me to repeat the question, or you?
No,
Okay.
thank you. I'm just making sure we don't all have to run out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, if nobody's running, we're good. All right, thank you. Water is a big issue, whether it comes out of your tap that we've heard, or whether it's feeding the lakes, rivers, and streams that go into our intercoastal waterways that go out into the ocean. So as part of the environmental task force, we were instrumental in getting a glyphosate ban on town property. So it's removing some chemicals potentially from the water that would be able to do that. There's partnerships with Loxahatchee River District, where I know that the wastewater can go to the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County, and ultimately we take the poop of the rich and famous and turn it into environmentally friendly pellet that can be land applied, so it's not directly going into our water bodies, increasing phosphates and nitrogens. The town also has a plan or an ordinance in place that limits fertilizing during the wet season. So some of that work is already done. Now, when I was at the Department of Environmental Protection, one of the issues that I worked with was Lake Okeechobee discharges. Now, those discharges don't necessarily come here. They go to the St. Lucie estuary. But that water quality, whether it was blue-green algae, whether it was changing the salinity, really impacted the seagrasses, the fish species, because there was very big fish die-offs there. So I'm very aware of water quality issues and how the town should be paying attention to our green spaces, but also our blue spaces. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sandstrom.
Thank you. I can speak in more detail on our water utility. Our water utility has a master plan. It's updated every 5 years, and we include an outside consultant to just kind of double, triple check our water utility and all that's going on with it. It is an enterprise fund. It stands alone from the town. It operates like a business, and it must stand on its own. So, like a business, we have to save for big changes, big updates, and one day there's going to be, a new water treatment facility, and so we're planning for that. We started planning for that years ago. So we need to be responsible, fiscally responsible, and make sure that we're planning ahead. The proudest thing I have to say about our water utility is that you may have heard about PFAS, or forever chemicals. So forever chemicals are increasingly a big part of our conversation around our drinking water, and I'm proud to say, if you go to our water master plan, you'll see that treated water in Jupiter has 0. There are no PFAS levels in town treated water. That is a huge deal. So not every town can say that, and there's a new rule, and I don't know what's going to happen with it at the national level, but there's a new rule saying that all these new systems, or all the water treatment facilities elsewhere, are going to have to upgrade to look more like our system. So it's an award-winning system. I'm really proud of it, and we're being fiscally responsible and planning for those upgrades ahead. To the environment, I do want to say some of what we do with our water and stormwater does affect our water, the river, and our wild and scenic river, and the ocean. So when we decided we actually are building a deep injection well. So you might see some of the construction going on in Chasewood Plaza with that big tower. That's going to help us prevent a lot of our water and phosphorus and all of these different fertilizers and things like that from going into the river. We're going to actually keep it out. We're actually cleaning our river by building that. Another thing I want to say is Jonathan Dickinson Park and golf courses. So we have spent so much time and effort trying to clean the Loxahatchee River. We've got reef balls at Sawfish Bay, I hope you'll see, and a number of other things. But when Jonathan Dickinson was threatened and could threaten our water, the town stood up. We were the first town to write a letter to the governor and to push back and say that's not okay. So we can't have money polluting our water and then trying to clean it at the same time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Again, a 40-year resident, the town of Jupiter probably has the best water of most municipalities. They've always done a good job. They follow the health department reporting. I've never been unhappy with it, but what we can do a better job of in not the town itself, but everybody who lives in the town, is plastics. All those things that go into our waterways. We have nice cleanups and this and that, but we have to get into a pattern of protecting our waters ourselves. My daughter was part of JERSA, which was in the high school, and I did a lot of things with her going into the parks, and I learned things I never knew about what's on land affects so much of our drinking water and the waters around us. So I congratulate Jupiter for stepping up and always doing the right thing, and what I will do is make sure that they continue doing the right thing.
Thank you. That's the end of the responses to that question. And now we will go on to another question. I don't know this, but I'm going to assume I'm going to use a name of a place that most of you know. And the question is, what are your recommendations for Sun Sands? Oh, I was left alone. Okay, thank you. So we are going to start this one, I think, Mr. Weston, how's that?
Can I have a minute, just on procedure here? I think you've got a lot of questions, right?
I have one more after this.
One more question, that's it?
Well, I mean, there may be more.
Okay.
Can I, do you guys have more questions that you didn't?
I was gonna say, if you have a lot of questions, we'll never get them all answered.
No, we know we will never get them all answered because we also have to do theirs.
Okay, all right, so you're okay. All right.
I'm okay, yeah. you're okay.
Sunny Sands. My position on Sunny Sands is we can't afford to buy that. Okay, there might be a foundation out there like the Inland District that can get up, what, $30, $40, $50 million that would be needed to buy that property. But we can't, the town can't afford it, that's my position. Not only is it what we'd have to pay the developer, it's the future tax revenues. The CRA was created to redevelop that area, and that's 10 acres in the middle of that area. You know, it's got a midden, I don't know if you know the background on that, it's got a midden, they found that, and it's also where the Celestial Railroad started, and there's an area of the land there that they want to hold that land off, even though the right-of-way ends at the property, and there's no clawing back the other. He should be allowed to do something with that property that makes sense. And if we need to excavate what is there, it's a midden, which means garbage dump. And I can't see trying to take that property from him for the amount of money it would take. He paid $16 million for it, and he's paid over $3 million in property taxes since he's owned it. And real estate values have gone up. I think it's out of our hands to be able to buy that from him. So that's my position. I do believe that he should not get zoning variances. He has to live with what he's got, the right to do. And he is a property owner. He has the right to do whatever he's allowed to do. So that's my position on Sunny Sands.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, this is a passion project of mine, and I've been involved with the preservation of Sunny Sands for almost 9 years now. During the Love Street hoopla with that building, I was part of the opposition to scale that back, and through that I banded together with concerned citizens because we knew that the same property owner that owned Love Street also owned Sunny Sands. I am an advocate for the town to buy it, and this is when I say that we need to have leadership that has new ideas, this is what I mean. If the town were really serious about it, they could have purchased the property and worked with the property developer. The group that I work with actually came up with a plan that would have enabled the property to go to the federal government with the Bureau of Land Management, who manages the lighthouse and the outstanding natural area there. We presented that. We're working with another agency that would have negotiated the price with the property owner so that we weren't paying as much, and obviously it would take some private investment as well. But we have about $17 million in our green space fund, and we have money from the CRA that could have gone towards that. But we hear this all the time, we don't have the money. I heard it during Love Street when we wanted to make the end of Love Street a park, and the mayor at that time said, the town doesn't have $20 million just lying around, but they found $68 million to build a fire department. Yeah. So that would have gone a long way to saving Sunny Sands. Yeah. Thank you. So I'll keep advocating, I'll keep trying to find somebody to get it for us, and we'll save the whole thing, and thank you very much.
We will now move over here. Mr. Buzz, you want to go first?
Sure.
Same question.
This is an issue that I'm still learning about, and I will say that there's a former council member that did an incredible post on Facebook outlining her understanding, her perspective of where it came from, what had happened, and where it should be going. I'm in agreement. I think that if the town had a fund that is supposed to go toward buying green space, this property could have been one that should be at the top of the priority list. at least try. It's this type of leadership, as we've heard tonight, that there's only one incumbent here, and there's 5 other candidates. So we all have a vision and a stake in where we think Jupiter should be going. And where we are right now on this issue, where it's still lingering, I don't feel it's the strongest position. I don't feel it's the leadership position, and I feel that we can do better. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm here tonight, and I'm running for council, and I hope to represent you.
Thank you. Thank you. For those who don't know Sunny Sands, it is in the very heart of Jupiter. It is across from our lighthouse. It is waterfront property, and it is where the Celestial Railroad began. So it is the history of our town. It is part of the future of our town. And it is very important to this council, and I think every resident who knows it. I think we would all agree with that. So the town does believe in preservation. When staff reviewed an application by the owner of the property, because remember, we do not own this property, so it's privately held, and we have to work together with the owner. They have to be a willing seller, so they don't have to sell the land to us. They have to be willing, and at the right price point, all of that's a negotiation, so it's very complicated. But we do want to preserve it. Staff recommended something like 2 acres of the 10 preservation. Council then doubled it. So we said 4 acres, the entire archaeological site. And the rest would require and be protected by a certificate to dig with archaeologists on site monitoring everything that's happening. Now the reason that happened on appeal is because we are responsible to follow the law. We have to follow the law in our jobs, and we have to know the law. And the deputy planning and zoning director and our town attorney, Florida Bar town attorney, said on page numbers that I quote on my vice mayor page, if you go to my Facebook page, that you must issue a certificate to dig, because if you don't, you are taking private property. It is called a regulatory taking, and I don't believe that anyone intends to take private property. So we can't afford to every parcel of land in the town. I heard, we can buy parcels on Indian Town, we can buy this, buy that. You know the cost of land and what's happened to the cost of land over past years. So we need to prioritize what we can. If we can use some of our land open space funds to help preserve more of that property, we should try to do so, and we've said that, but we have to balance all of these things. What we have in our account, what Jupiter taxpayers are responsible for. Thank you.
Yes, the Sunny Sands is so much a part of Jupiter. I agree with Cherry, I agree with Willie. And also, we need more art in public places. And Sunny Sands would be a wonderful place to have something there that gives back the history of Sunny Sands, Lighthouse, and what have you. You can actually have venues that make you a little bit of money and still preserve the history of Sunny Sands. It is so important to Jupiter to present every bit of it. And it is unfortunate that a developer came in here to buy out all the mobile homes, because that's what they did years ago during the recession. And it is at the detriment of Jupiter. And the vision of the lighthouse does not need anything built high, and we need to preserve it, we need to bring art to it. That's my stance. They've said the rest.
Thank you. And last on this question was.
Thank you. My opinion at this point in time is that I would like to see the developer and the town council try to continue negotiating that part of it could be kept in its archaeological state. I think the cost of the land at this point in time with our residents, we couldn't afford it. But more importantly, we do have a site that has history. The data is there. If we could continue negotiating, I mean, in private property rights, it's the Constitution. We cannot go in and take it away. Negotiating for preservation, integrity, what's there, the history, we know the history. And that piece of land is absolutely priceless in this town. I will continue to say, let's advocate for a negotiation with the owner where it is amicable to all parties. And again, the cost of the land is beyond the budget that you and I want to pay. But I do tell you that it's a gem. It is the hidden gem in Jupiter. on it, I don't know that that would be any different than what they're trying to do right now. So let's continue working with the owner, the town council, to see where this can take us with an amicable solution.
Thank you. The next question, I think, is one that has been sort of mentioned here before. The question is, if elected, will you support the plan for the new Jupiter Fire, I think this says Rescue Department, and go for it.
So the contention for me has never been whether we had a fire department or we stayed with Palm Beach County. It has always been that the residents did not get a say on that. So I would support that we would go to a referendum to get the residents to vote on whether they want to keep Palm Beach County Fire Rescue or if they want to stay with the Jupiter Fire Department. For context, my father and my uncle both worked for the original Jupiter Fire Department in the 70s. When they merged with Palm Beach County, my uncle went to Palm Beach County and retired after 30 years of service. So I have a bit of a perspective on a town that had the fire department and didn't. So yes, I would encourage that I would ask that my fellow council members, if I'm elected, would put it out to a vote and ask the residents what they want to do with that money. It's $70 million, $68 million. It's, we should have a vote on it.
Thank you. Mr. President, over to you.
So I think everybody here is gonna say, my flag is planted here or here, and I think that our members up here talking to you are gonna say the same thing. I told you I've been in government my entire career. My flag isn't planted. What I want is the best service for our town residents at the most economical cost. That's what I'm looking for. If you look at the town's website, they say residents could have had opportunity to provide their comments through 16 months and 9 meetings. But if you really look at it, there's really 2 or 3 meetings where the issue really came to a head. There was one where the town approved the decision to go an interlocal agreement with the county, so it seems like we're going in that direction. The county agreed to the same interlocal agreement, but they upped the municipal service taxing unit from 5 years to 10 years. And then when it came back to the town, that's when, whoa, we don't have enough council members here, this is a really big decision, let's table it, let's bring it back in September. But in the meantime, come August, there was a presentation where the current mayor said, I've had enough, and we're gonna direct our town manager to go in a different direction and stop the contract or say that we're gonna go 3 years in our out clause. So ultimately you heard residents didn't have a voice, they were blindsided, there was a change.org petition, there was a lawsuit, there was a lot of things that happened. I would like us to revisit the numbers. I would like to make sure that we're apples to apples and not just saying, well, this is what the town or what the county first proposed and it was gonna double our millage and it was gonna cost an inordinate amount of money. But I want us to look at those figures again. So if I get your vote and I'm selected to council, can we unscramble the egg? I don't know, but I'll tell you what, if I'm there, we're definitely gonna look at it and make the best decision based off of financial means. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Sandstrom.
Well, I personally think that that is incredibly dangerous because we made this decision in 2023. We have a very tight deadline and we begin service October 1st, 2026. To stop or delay any of the projects to get this done puts our public safety at risk and is considered an attack on the firefighters that are currently building that service. So I think it's important to think about that. We have had 9 public meetings and we did make the best decision for fiscal responsibility and for public safety. I do want to say, it was interesting that my opponent mentioned blindsided. That's a really important word because we entered litigation with a PAC, a political action committee, that formed with the fire union's help and legal assistance and financial assistance to attack the town and essentially take over. So unlike landscaping services or other services, in fire rescue you really have 2 options for a municipality our size. You either start your own or use the county. So the county was working to introduce a charter amendment that would deny the town the right to provide basic public safety services for its residents. What that means is that it gives fire rescue county County Fire Rescue a monopoly over Jupiter services. When we lose our leverage, they double our rates, which was their initial proposal, which is what happened in Wellington. They are paying the highest rates in this county right now and would put all of you at risk. For every $500,000 your home is worth, you'd be paying $500 a year more. There's a taxpayer in business in this town that would be paying $100,000 a year more. So it is not a small sum. Now, the litigation was very important, and I would recommend you going to the Jupiter Fire Rescue site, because in an act of transparency, we've provided all source materials so you can learn for yourselves. The single most important documents to read might be the audit that County Fire failed, and that would be the reason that I voted to start a department. I think you really have to have internal controls. I think we have a fiduciary responsibility to taxpayers, and so a failed audit would move the needle with me and
I'm
did.
sorry, Ms. Sundstrom.
Thank you.
Ms. McDermott,
Yes.
thank you.
On the fire department, again, those of you who know me, I work for Police 25 and I do budget for fire department. I came to this town telling them how much an ambulance costs. They budgeted $400,000, the invoice is $539,000 because I sign off on them. I brought a budget to them. They underfunded so much to try to make up their mark of 68 million. The budget was a budget from 2020, before COVID. Equipment costs, everything has gone up between 20 and 30%. This is what I do. I am responsible at the City of West Palm for a $25 million grant that we bought our fire trucks, our EMS vehicles, our police vehicles, okay? I have been through union negotiations with fire and police. I know the cost. And I'm not telling you that Jupiter could not do a fire department. They cannot do it at a $68 million savings, absolutely not. No how, no way, okay? And I'm telling you, it's not up to me if we keep it or not. It is up to you. This is a public choice, and all we ask for is the town come up with a ballot question. The town had plenty of time. The town did not have just 3 years, you had 5 years. You could have put it out there, you could have done it, and I can tell you how you can still do it, but that is not up to me. This is up to the people. I am running because I want transparency. I'm an analytical person, and I can undo budgets. I have had to I do a $700 million budget for the city of West Palm Beach. I was responsible for that. We had to cut so much money, not just COVID, I mean recession. So I can add funds, I know how to do bond money, and I'm telling you, I know Scott with the town. I have done things with the town, so.
Ms. Troy, same question.
Thank you. I'm going to ask each of you, like me, I've gone onto the website. I take the data that is in there at true value that our council put the numbers together. But let me back this up. We, as people, do not go to town council meetings. We're busy. We don't have time. As much as I would like to say I go and listen to town council, this whole fire rescue has gone on for a long period of time. Do I want to see taxes going up? Absolutely not. And this is not about the county versus Jupiter. What I can say is I take what I see in the town council, in our document, everything that you can look at as well. I take that and I say, why do we want to rent a fire department when we can own it? For less money, services will be there. And again, we're not comparing good or bad. It is that we would own it. This has been taken and challenged in the courts. The courts have said they've done what they need to do. Everything was done right. And again, we can go back and forth on numbers. What's it going to be? I believe our financiers did their homework. We're going to be in a position to have fire rescue. And again, fire rescue is not what it was years ago. Catastrophic events happen. Think outside the box. I want my fire and my police police to work side by side in training and respond. So again, it's not, it's today's world, and we have to look at it that way. Thank you.
So, you know, the statements were made, there wasn't transparency. What Phyllis told you was people weren't watching. I was going down frequently to the town council, trying to get my water main done and the road done. So I was aware of what was going on. I was watching this as it was going on. And, you know, they said 3.4 mils is what the county wanted, 3.4. And I said, well, I looked, and unincorporated Palm Beach County, Wellington, all the municipalities that use the fire department, the Palm Beach County, paid 3.4 mils. The town's millage rate for all the services they provide with the police department and everything else is 2.4. Why does the Palm Beach County need 3.4? We were paying 1.7, which is the actual cost as represented to us, but they said, no, we gotta pay the same thing as the rest of the people in the county. Well, I can't disagree with the fairness of asking for the 3.4, except that it's twice the cost of what it actually is. So that, and I'm watching this whole thing now, it was transparent to everybody. And it wasn't like anybody was delaying, they were negotiating with the county. And the county insisted that it was gonna be 3.4. And so they hired a consultant, because we don't know all this stuff. Consultant knew it. He studied it for months. That's why a decision wasn't coming out. He came and said the actual cost of services is 1.7, you can do this. And that's when the town council put it out. Okay. You look at the charter, it says you can't bring that to referendum. That's what the court said when the firemen's union sued us. The charter says you cannot put a referendum for a budget item, and that's what this was. So the town council did their duty. They're trying to save you taxes by not paying 3.4 mils to the county and doing it for the actual cost of 1.7.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
So that completes the question portion, and we will now move to final statements. You've heard a lot from each of our candidates, and they will now wrap up with 1 minute each. I think Mr. Post will start with you. How's that?
Sounds good.
Got a minute?
Got it. I'd like to thank the league for getting us all together. I'd like to appreciate the town and thank the town for putting us in this great room. And I'd like to thank you for coming here tonight to listen to all of the candidates express their views, talk about their concerns, and hopefully give you something to think about when you go home. There are 6 people up here, only 1 incumbent. So you can see that the other 5 have an incredible passion for our town. We may bring a little different perspective, but we all want what's best. And so I think what you've heard from the 5 of us, or at least majority of us, is that we feel that maybe this town council didn't provide the vision. They don't have the leadership to guide this town in the right direction. We have one council member that said, I tried to do projects for the past 8 months and fire took over. Another council member said that this fire issue has sucked the air out of the town for the past year.
I'm sorry your time is up. This is 1 minute.
That's all right, thank you.
Thank you.
I will be one that won't do that, thank you.
Ms. Sundstrom, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. I just want to quickly point out that these are huge issues. There is a legal framework that we're operating in under. There are technical planning and zoning components. There is a lot at stake here. I have to say that being the only elected official here, the experience that I've worked on, the time I've spent making the relationships and joining the boards and committees I've joined, from the Palm Beach County Water Task Force, talking about how we can help our river, to different chamber committees, and the League of Cities, focusing on local control and home rule. This experience matters. The transportation plan is important. Jupiter Fire Rescue and our town's public safety are important. I've been working on it. I'd like to continue working on it and get the job done. So I hope that you'll support me. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I am totally for transparency and working together with the county, the state, federal, and the people of Jupiter. None of this fire would have happened if there were 9 meetings. Believe me, public meetings. You may have had meetings. They were not public. The decision of August 15th made my hair get redder. I was on vacation. I thought they were gonna sign the contract. The county already signed, and I thought nothing else. So August 15th of 2023 is what got me going, and that's why I'm running. But that's not the only reason. I wanna see more volunteer come back. Since the previous town manager, all volunteer went away. Jupiter CERT went away. You know, I haven't seen senior things come back. I want to see youth involved. We can have a youth fire academy. There's so much more that can be done. I'm going to be retired, and I am going to put full effort, not part-time. That's just how I am. 40 hours a week is probably what you'll get from me. So I am passionate, as you can see.
I'm sorry, thank you. It's great, let's see right here. 1 minute.
Thank you. Again, thank you everyone for coming. Your passion is in Jupiter, as all the candidates that are here. Why am I running? Because I think my professional background will certainly lend itself, but I think my calmness, my objectivity to look at everything and be pragmatic in decisions. We all can't be at the town councils, we know that. But those that are on the council have the charge and the responsibility and the fiduciary obligation to protect your money, your taxes, your safety, your environment. And that again is why I think I will be the candidate for you. Your vote matters, but equally important, I want to thank everyone that's here. They have a passion, and it's going to be up to you. But remember, it's a 3-year commitment to this position and thereafter. But again, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a website, and I'm going to be writing on this about what we were saying there. But I'm your neighbor. You're my neighbor. Ask me what I can do for you. Okay? I'm here because of this fire thing. Because I was there going through it, and you've got all this stuff about there's no transparency. There was transparency. The people just were not paying attention. Now, with respect to Melise, the chief of police said that she was the smartest person in the room. And so I said to Melise, well, I wasn't in the room when you said that. So she is the best prepared person, though, because she's been, you can't believe what she was doing, because she didn't know anything about the fire department. She went down and spent time in Palm Beach Gardens and was trying to figure out this whole thing. In any event, I support this with the fire department because I think it's going to be a good thing. Did I tell you I was a CPA? I forgot to tell you that. So I have been looking at this.
Thank you to all of our wonderful, wonderful candidates. Last but not least.
That's quite all right. So yes, I want to thank everybody for being here. It was great for you all to come out and listen to us and let us have a conversation on what makes Jupiter special. I will fight for the protection of sunny sands, protecting our blue and green spaces, increasing conservation land, returning residents to the top of the organizational chart, and greater transparency in the town and the way that the town works. Through all the protesting and advocacy and work that I have done to stand up for Jupiter, one thing has always made it truly rewarding: the people. Every day I meet more residents who share the same dedication and passion for our town that I do, and it is their voices, their stories, and their love, or our love, for the community that inspire me to keep fighting for Jupiter. This election isn't about me. It's all about us and the future we want for our town. I'm running for Jupiter Town Council to ensure that our residents are heard, our history is protected, and the quality of life is preserved. I would be honored to have your vote. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So now what we're going to do is have a little musical chairs, and the 2 candidates for the mayor are going to come up, and then we'll have their forum. Thank
Thanks for being here.
Great job. Nobody threw any tomatoes at you or anything? I'd like to invite you to come to our meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to get you out of here by 9 o'clock, so take your seats, please. I'd like to take a minute and talk to you about something that's very important, that the league is taking a very important stand on. I don't know how many of you know that all vote by mail ballots expired at the end of last year. And if you want to vote by mail, you have to re-up for it, so to speak. Now, it is not too late to do that for the March 11th election. Yeah, I got mine too. Yeah. But it's still not too late, I was told by the supervisor of elections. So please, and even if you don't vote by mail, apply for a ballot. I'll tell you a quick story. Several years ago, I lived next to a man who broke his leg the day before election day and could not get to the polls. So sign up for your vote by mail ballot. Even if you don't want to use it, take it with you to the polls, but it's a good backup, just in case, okay? Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay, everybody resettled? Gentlemen. Hearing it all. All right, we're gonna open with opening statements, and again, it'll be 2 minutes. Want to start, Mr. Kretzky? So easy with it too, I don't have to keep track of it.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters of Palm Beach County for moderating this Jupiter election candidate forum. You know, what's uniquely different here from the two of us is we've both served on council, so we should have a good understanding of the issues. There's quite a distinction between the two. The questions that were asked before were all great questions. I hope we get the same ones. We're ready to talk about them.
I'm not telling ahead.
No, I understand. Look, it points to that's issues on people's minds. So I just want to emphasize, and I'm just going to cut from introducing myself because people hopefully know me. I've been the mayor for 3 years. Before that, I was the town council. And I'm running for re-election as mayor for a second 3-year term to ensure that we continue moving forward with the creation of the fire rescue department and have it ready for full service throughout Jupiter, October 1st, 2026. Creation of Jupiter Fire Rescue Department will enable the town's ad valorem tax rate to continue to be the lowest of all municipalities in North County, half of West Palms. Fiscal management has always been one of the hallmarks of my town council leadership efforts. I'm also pursuing re-election to fulfill strategic initiatives for implementing traffic mitigation solutions, collaborating with the county on the county transportation plan, which is more about funding than scope, and then historic preservation For those that might have picked it up, I have my palm card on the counter. Every item that I commit to is already addressed in our strategic plan. The town has a 3-year strategic plan. I have action items for every one of those. I've always been a results guy. I'm committed to deliver on them as I have in the past. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also want to thank the League of Women Voters for moderating the event. We appreciate it. So for those who may not know me, my name is Cameron May. I go by Cam. I can't say that I was born in Jupiter. I was actually born in Hollywood, but I moved to Jupiter when I was 8 months old. But no one was really born in Jupiter in the late 80s anyway. So this is my hometown. This is where I'm raising my family. This is where I decided to stay. I could have moved anywhere across the state of Florida and raised my family there. My wife and I wanted to plant our roots here and, really provide a good lifestyle for my children. And then in 2014, 2015, I started seeing some changes around the town that I called home. Development was taken off. We had Harborside. We had the Love Street project. It really sparked my interest in what's going on with local government and what types of projects are being approved that are adding to overgrowth, overdevelopment, and traffic. That's what sparked my interest to run for town council, to try to preserve and protect my hometown. So that was when I got involved. I got elected first in 2020 as a council member. I had a fun start because it was right during COVID. 2 days after I got elected, we all shut down and we were doing Zoom meetings for our council meetings, which was something that was new. So I had a lot to learn and try to figure out from my house because we weren't doing council meetings, we weren't collaborating. So I had a trial by fire literally on becoming a council member, and I think it really prepared me for this role. So as I've learned through being a council member, the biggest thing that people want is they want to be involved in your decision making. They want to be aware of what decisions you're going to make, not after the fact. So I think my mission is to really involve you in the decisions I make decisions with you, not just for you, and I hope I can earn your vote. My website got hacked. I'm working on getting it back up and running. Some guy in Canada got it, so don't go there yet, but hopefully the next few days it'll be up and running. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay. So, Mr. May, what have you specifically done to support the Jupiter Police Department? No, we don't ask easy questions.
No, that's a very easy question, actually. So when I was first elected, I sat down with JPD and I really wanted to understand their issues. I wanted to know what they need, if they need anything. They have been provided for very well, but there was a lot of things that police departments need as they evolve, whether it's equipment, whether it's training, whether it's pay and benefits. I've always been supportive of that. The first thing I did when I got elected was I was made aware that there was a radio pole in the south part of town that was purchased but not installed. The reason so was because the residents in that area were upset that they could potentially be getting a 100-foot pole erected next to their condominiums, and they were being told it was this big radio tower. They thought it was a 5G cell phone tower. It was none of those things. So I brought it to the council right after I was elected, and I said, there's a big safety issue in the south part of the town involving our police and our residents, and I think we need to get this pole installed, meet with the residents, let them know what it truly is going to look like, and put it in. We were met with some pushback. We had people saying, well, I was trying to get it done while they were out of town and away for the season, which wasn't true at all, but I found a safety issue, and I spearheaded getting that pole installed. We also had the vehicles that the police officers were using Dodge Chargers at the time. We were trying to transition to Ford Explorers, safer, faster, more room for the officers and their equipment. So I spearheaded making sure that we had all Ford Explorers being ordered and we weren't ordering Dodge Chargers anymore. And finally, one of my favorite things was when we had a big overtime issue with the police. They weren't being paid adequately. They weren't getting paid overtime until they reached 13 and a half hours after their regularly scheduled shift. I told the town attorney through the contract negotiations to lower the FLSA standard so that any hour after their regularly scheduled shift, they'd get overtime. Thank you.
Thank you.
we have a council manager form of government, so generally speaking, all the staff report to the town manager, and then issues come to the council when input is needed. I can go back over the course of time. I've always 100% supported every request that came through to fund our police department. When I became aware of some issues, for example, 2 contracts ago, it was very important to our police to move to a different paid mechanism, which is called like a step plan. I got intimately involved with that step plan, dialogue internally with the town manager, and we went ahead and implemented that. That was important to our police officers. So those that didn't feel they were getting compensated correctly, we've treated when we make decisions, where we have a union contract, when we make decisions, we make them for the good of everybody, including our police. So we had changed the amount the town pays to cover health benefits. I had heard from a police officer the cost of health, the care was important, and we went ahead in the last couple of years and had adjusted reduced effectively the cost of health care insurance for a police officer family by $3,300 a year. Another item I've always been concerned about and have always looked into is the health of our pension plan for our police officers. It's the first thing I look for in the annual comprehensive plan audit report. I know that now there's some issues coming up on pension that we need to make sure that we're treating it fairly. I have the pension plan. It's one thing that I am going to be more actively involved in the current contract conversations. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's important that we go back and ask these 2 gentlemen the fire department question. It seemed to be very important to this audience. So let me just repeat it if I may. If elected, will you support the plan for the new Jupiter Fire Reserve Department? Mr. May, we'll go back to you and start first.
So I've been on record in the beginning when the fire department thing was created. I was on the council. I didn't think it was appropriate at the time that we'd be taking action to terminate a contract that hadn't even gone into effect yet. And during a presentation item, as it was listed on the agenda, I feel like if we're going to take action items where we're going to spend an exorbitant amount of money on any project, it should be listed as an actual agenda item to be taken action on. So that was my opposition in the beginning to the creation of Jupiter Fire Rescue. When I knew there was an effort to potentially have a ballot referendum for the citizens to vote on that, I supported it. I felt like you guys should have a say in a change in emergency services, and spending the amount of money that we're spending. Once I realized, that we were moving forward with Jupiter Fire Rescue, I felt it was not responsible of me to sit back and vote no on anything. So I did start a few months ago, and I made a statement at a council meeting that I would be voting in favor of all things Jupiter Fire Rescue. I would be voting in favor of the stations, the equipment, the operational budget, and I have continued to do so. And the best person in the position, if you're going to build a fire department, is a firefighter. That's what I do. I know what we should be ordering. I know what the work week should look like, because people don't realize when the consultant presented the contract, they presented a 56-hour work week for firefighters. Well, the regional standard is a 48-hour work week. Most departments are moving to a 42-hour work week. That will increase your operational budget by a lot. But, as I've said, the train has left the station. We are moving forward Jupiter Fire Rescue. If other council members want to take up that project, that will be up to them. As the mayor, as the chair of the meeting, that is not my responsibility. We are simply there to run the meeting. We can vote on these topics, but we are not there to make the motions to take action on those types of things. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Chris.
Well, it is well known that I clearly support the creation of the Fire Rescue Department. It was one that, and there's a lot of things that have been said that earlier that were inaccurate. We're well under the budget for what we had established, number one. And what came to us was we knew that the county's motivation was to double the tax rate. $250 million over 10 years to fund unincorporated areas. So it's funny on social media, I hear from a lot of people that are not in Jupiter, that are all fine by Jupiter paying higher taxes. I'm here to represent the Jupiter residents. The new contract that they had negotiated gave them all sorts of additional rights. They swept away $2 million of an impact fees that should be used in Jupiter. It was $400,000 last year alone. They went ahead and they added a provision that they could build a fire station outside of the town, and we would have to pay some kind of prorated share. Crazy. So that was never discussed. So we sat there and thought, if we're gonna be building and paying for fire stations outside of Jupiter, that kind of helped justify. We didn't even take that into account in the analysis on how much could be saved. You know, what came before us is the Fire Rescue Union presented a charter amendment that was illegal. We would have given away our right to represent taxpayers of Jupiter, businesses and residents, to set what the tax rate is. And that's why the judge ruled it was illegal, you know, against the Constitution. We couldn't put it, even if it had been voted on, we could not have adopted it. So that's important. So, you know, I don't understand how any elected official representing the town of Jupiter, resident and business taxpayers, could act or be expected to act otherwise. And I never understood how Councilor Kamei could have even voted on it as he did.
Thank you. Mr. May, we'll go back to you. We persistently hear Jupiter is built out. If a developer comes to you, will there be more projects you will approve? Which will you deny to keep overdevelopment from continuing?
Thank you. So, out of the two of us, I'm actually the only one who actually will sit down with developers and talk to them. Okay, and that's not because I'm in support of their project. It's not because I'm in denial. It's because I want to hear about the project as a whole and provide insight to them before they come to a town council meeting and waste any sort of time getting a project denied. If I don't like a project and it doesn't fit the code, doesn't fit comprehensive plan, and they're asking for a bunch of waivers, I'm going to tell them straight up, no, I'm not going to approve that project. You need to stay within the comprehensive plan. You need to stay within the code, and you need to not request waivers, especially ones that are going to impact traffic in the town, especially ones that are going to impact height and density. When we have projects that come to us, one of the first things I actually did as a council member was I eliminated the bonus point program provision in our town's code that allowed for developers to trade height and density for public amenities. Well, they would get their height and density, and then they'd want to take the public amenity away when it was, no longer convenient for them. So I eliminated the bonus point program as one of my strategic priorities so that we wouldn't have developers trading off public benefits for bigger, denser buildings. It was not the most popular thing, but as someone who grew up here, I felt it was important that we do so. So that's how I approach development. We are built out. We do need to find more spaces to purchase for green space, for preservation, to mitigate traffic. So as I go forward, if I'm elected, I will continue to do so. I will continue to tell developers that large projects that increase traffic and density in the town are not accepted here. And they know that about me. But they know that I at least respect them enough to sit down and tell them to their face. Thanks.
Thank you.
I think my record is well known. There's never been in the town a member of the council that's been more of an advocate to properly growth manage and also come up with traffic solutions and to say no when it's not a good fit for Jupiter. I don't meet often with developers because they like to get, although I do stay informed, and I will on some selective ones, but they like to get you in a room and say, do you support this project? I never make the final decision in the public hearing. That's where it should be made. Let's just look at, and by the way, the council for the last 3 years has been pretty much aligned on growth management issues, so it hasn't been an issue. But I gotta take issue when Councilor May talks about we survey our residents every 2 years. We survey our residents with specific questions targeted in addition to the general ones. And we had asked them about things like, what do you think about increased height, increased density, etc. And basically, they said, we don't like it. So we as a council entirely made the decision that we were gonna change our code and remove bonuses for things our residents by 90% or so said they don't want anymore. So it wasn't an individual council member. Additionally, you know, there's just a few items where we had taken a different position. There was an item that came to us on Abacoa condos in Town Center. And initially, in our November 8th, 2023 meeting, Councilor May was supportive of the project because, hey, he heard about it in a meeting with the developer, and it sounded kind of nice. I was not supportive right from the get-go because I think I have a better feel after many years of what the residents do and don't support. Residents have come out overwhelmingly opposed to that project. So, you know, I'm always gonna listen to residents first. I'm gonna pay attention to customer, you know, resident survey inputs. And I think my track record is second to none on that.
Thank you very much. Before we move to closing statements, I'd like to take the opportunity, for those of you who don't know, about a gem that exists in your town of Jupiter. And that is FAU, Florida Atlantic University, is in this town. And as I look across this audience, with no disrespect, we have, and I'm FAU, an incredible program for lifelong learning. Just as an example, some of you may know David Brooks. He's going to be with us in just a couple of weeks there. So I encourage you to stop by our table here, pick up a catalog, and come be with us and learn with us at FAU. Gentlemen, we're now going to go to, I'm sure you're pleased to know, closing statements, okay? And you have 1 minute.
Again, thank you for moderating it. Thank you guys for coming out to hear our positions on these items. I know it's a lot to come out on especially on a Monday night on a work week. So I just want to say, like I said, I'm born and raised here. I'm raising my family here. In the fire service, we have a saying: leave it better than you found it. That's what I'm trying to do for the town of Jupiter. That's why I'm here. Okay, I have no other agenda items. I have nothing. It's just I'm trying to do what's best for my hometown and leave it a better place for not only my kids, but your kids, my friends. So that is, you know, why I'm doing this. You know, I hope to earn your support. I'm here to make decisions with you being well informed. I'm not here to make decisions just for you. And I think my track record in doing that over the past 5 years has proven that. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. With 1 minute, I'm going to just jump to the second large issue with SUNY Sands. That's a gem of a site, and we've learned a lot in recent years about it, but I was the first member of council that was asking others on the council to support trying to acquire at least a portion of the property. It took us a number of years to get to a council that had more of a consensus on that. You know, there's some, the solutions that we've heard about. The federal government, by the way, will take the site if we buy it, but they won't pay anything for it. It's also important to understand that it's an incredible site. We were dealing with a certificate to dig, which is an unusual item where some people felt like we should deny the property owner the right to dig on that property. You couldn't put a fence post in. And so that's what came to the council on appeal. By 3-2, we changed it. Councilor May supported the not being able to do anything. It's a $100 million plus site. It'd be $1,600 every man, woman, and child in the town. There's a lot of people say we ought to buy it, but I don't see anybody stepping up and money. Thank you.
You're running out of time. Thank you very much. That concludes our forum. Although I'm sure if you still have questions, the candidates would be very happy to stay and talk to you. And I speak for the League of Women Voters. We had a terrific turnout tonight, and I thank you for your patience and for your attendance. Good night.